Cold blue lights filled the giant hall of the Galactic Council Palace. The palace floated in space above the shining world of Archon Prime, where the most powerful alien leaders in the galaxy gathered to rule entire star systems. Tall crystal pillars reached high into the ceiling like frozen lightning, and glowing symbols floated slowly in the air, showing ancient laws older than most civilizations. Today was a very important day. Thousands of aliens from many different worlds filled the hall, whispering, arguing, and watching the center platform. Because today the ancient crown of Archon would choose the next emperor of the Galactic Empire. The crown had not chosen a ruler for almost 300 years. Every powerful race in the galaxy wanted it. The Vrax generals stood tall with their shining armor. The tall silver-skinned Alari nobles looked calm but proud. Even the mysterious insect-like Krith waited quietly in the shadows. All of them believed one of their own kind would become the next emperor. None of them expected a human to even be inside the palace, especially not him. At the far corner of the hall, a young human pushed a cleaning cart slowly across the shining floor. His name was Daniel Carter. He wore a simple gray worker uniform, and a small badge on his chest marked him as Maintenance Level 3, not a soldier, not a scientist, not a leader, just a cleaner. Daniel quietly wiped the floor near one of the giant pillars, trying not to attract attention. But it was impossible to stay invisible here. A group of tall blue-skinned Vrax officers noticed him and laughed loudly. "Look at this tiny human," one of them said, pointing. "They let cleaning animals inside the palace now." The others laughed even louder. One of them kicked Daniel's cleaning bucket slightly, spilling some water across the floor. Daniel stopped for a moment, then quietly began wiping the water again. He did not argue, he did not complain, he simply continued working. The aliens watching nearby shook their heads. Amused, humans were new in the galaxy, weak, poor, and unimportant. Most powerful species saw them as cheap workers or miners. Some even called them the janitors of the stars. Daniel had heard those words many times before, but he ignored them because he had a reason to be here, a reason no one else knew. At the center of the hall, the main platform slowly began to glow. Everyone became silent. The ancient crown was rising. A floating pedestal lifted from the floor, carrying a golden crown covered in glowing alien symbols. It looked simple at first, but when the light touched it, the crown shined like a small star. A deep ancient voice echoed through the hall. "The crown will now choose the next emperor." The entire crowd held their breath. According to legend, the crown could see the truth of every soul. It could not be tricked. It could not be forced. It always chose the one who deserved to rule. One by one, powerful leaders stepped forward. A Vrax warlord stood before the crown first, proud and confident. The crown remained silent. Then an Alari noble approached slowly. Still nothing happened. Next came a famous Krith strategist who had conquered 12 star systems. But again, the crown did not move. Whispers filled the hall. Something was wrong. More leaders tried. More generals, more nobles, more rulers. Still nothing. The crown floated quietly above the platform, glowing softly, as if it was waiting for someone else. Hours passed. Many aliens grew angry. Some shouted that the crown was broken. Others demanded the council choose an emperor without it. During all this chaos, Daniel quietly pushed his cleaning cart near the center platform. He was only trying to clean a small line of dirt someone had left near the stairs. But when he stepped onto the platform, something strange happened. The crown suddenly shined brighter. At first no one noticed. Then the light became stronger, brighter, warmer. The whispers stopped. All eyes slowly turned toward the platform, toward the human cleaner standing there with a mop in his hand. Daniel looked confused. He glanced around nervously. Then the ancient crown slowly lifted from its pedestal, floating through the air, moving directly toward him. The entire hall gasped. A Vrax general shouted in shock, "That is impossible." Daniel froze as the glowing crown stopped above his head. For a long moment, the entire galaxy seemed silent. Then the crown slowly descended and gently placed itself on the head of the poor human cleaner. The palace exploded with shouting. Aliens stood up, screaming, arguing, and pointing. The crown is malfunctioning. A human cannot rule the empire. This is a mistake. But the ancient voice echoed through the hall again, louder than before. The crown has chosen. The emperor has risen. Daniel Carter, the human cleaner everyone laughed at only seconds ago, was now wearing the ancient crown of the Galactic Empire. But while the entire hall argued and panicked, Daniel quietly whispered something under his breath, something no one else heard, something that sounded very strange for a simple cleaner to say. Phase 1. Complete, and far away in the darkness of space, a hidden fleet of human ships slowly powered their engines, waiting. The hall of the ancient palace became completely silent. Moments ago, it was full of laughter, whispers, and mocking voices. But now not a single alien dared to speak. In the center of the hall stood the human cleaner, a simple man named Aaron. The glowing crown still floated above his head. Soft golden light spread across the entire chamber, touching the tall pillars and shining on the faces of hundreds of alien nobles. Everyone stared at Aaron as if they were seeing a ghost. Aaron himself looked confused and frightened. He slowly stepped backward, holding the cleaning tool tightly in his hands. "I think there is some mistake," he said quietly. His voice echoed in the huge hall. Several alien guards quickly raised their weapons. One tall alien with blue skin and silver armor stepped forward. This was General Karvik, one of the most powerful commanders in the Empire. His sharp eyes looked directly at Aaron. "The ancient crown never makes mistakes," Karvik said in a cold voice. "The crown chooses the ruler of the empire." Another alien noble suddenly shouted from the crowd. "This is impossible. He is only a human cleaner." "Yes," another voice agreed. "Humans are weak. They are workers, not rulers." More whispers began to spread through the hall. Some aliens looked angry, others looked afraid. But the crown did not move away from Aaron. Instead, the golden light grew brighter. Slowly, gently, the ancient crown lowered itself, and then it rested on Aaron's head. A powerful wave of energy spread across the palace. Many aliens stepped back in shock. Ancient symbols on the palace walls suddenly started glowing. The huge crystal ceiling above them began to shine like a small sun. Everyone could feel the strange power in the air. Aaron suddenly felt something strange inside his mind. It was like a door opening. Thousands of images rushed through his thoughts. Old battles, lost worlds, ancient kings, and a voice. A very old voice. "The chosen one has returned." A ring grabbed his head as the visions became stronger. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. The aliens watched in silence. Then suddenly Aaron stood straight. His eyes slowly opened. But now something had changed. The fear in his face was gone. His eyes were calm and focused. General Karvik noticed it immediately. "Something is happening," the general muttered. Aaron looked around the hall slowly. He looked at the tall aliens, the guards, the nobles, and the royal throne at the end of the hall. For a moment no one moved. Then an old alien woman stepped forward from the crowd. Her skin was pale and covered with ancient markings. She was the royal historian, one of the few beings who knew the ancient legends. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "The prophecy," she said quietly. Everyone turned toward her. "What prophecy?" a noble demanded. The old historian pointed at Aaron. "Thousands of years ago, when the first emperor died, the crown disappeared. The ancient texts said the crown would only return when the empire needed a true ruler." A nervous whisper spread across the hall. Karvik narrowed his eyes. "And you believe this human is that ruler?" he asked. The old historian did not answer immediately. Instead, she slowly bowed her head toward Aaron. "The crown has chosen," she said. "That means the empire must obey." Several nobles became furious. "This is madness," one shouted. "We will never follow a human," another yelled. Suddenly, one alien noble pulled out a small energy blade. "If the crown chose wrong, we simply remove the problem." He growled. He rushed toward Aaron. The guards reacted too late. The blade moved fast toward the human. But before it could reach him, the crown flashed with blinding light. A powerful invisible force exploded outward. The attacking noble was thrown across the hall like a toy. He crashed into a pillar and collapsed unconscious. The entire palace froze in fear. No one had touched Eren. The crown itself had protected him. General Karvek slowly lowered his weapon. Now even he looked uncertain. The crown is defending him, he whispered. Eren looked down at his hands. He still did not understand what was happening. Just a few minutes ago he had been cleaning the palace floor. Now the most powerful artifact in the galaxy sat on his head. The huge royal doors suddenly opened. A group of armored soldiers rushed inside. Their leader looked worried. "General!" the soldier shouted. "You must see this." Karvek turned sharply. "What is it?" he asked. The soldier pointed toward the sky outside the palace windows. "Enemy warships," he said. "Hundreds of them. They just appeared outside the capital." Fear spread across the hall again. The Empire was under attack. And the only one the crown had chosen to lead them was a poor human cleaner who had never commanded anything in his life. All eyes slowly turned toward Eren, the new emperor. Whether anyone liked it or not, the great hall of the alien palace was full of whispers. Dozens of powerful alien leaders stood around the glowing crown. Some of them were angry, some confused, and some were afraid. In the center of the hall stood Daniel, the poor human cleaner who had arrived only minutes ago to sweep the floor. Now the ancient crown floated above his head, shining with golden light. The guards were frozen in place, not sure what to do. No human had ever been inside the royal chamber before, and no human had ever been chosen by the crown. High Chancellor Verrex stepped forward slowly, his tall blue body shaking with anger. "This is impossible," he said loudly. "The crown belongs to the rulers of the galaxy, not to a weak human cleaner." Some aliens nodded in agreement. Others looked carefully at Daniel. Daniel himself looked shocked. He did not understand what was happening. Just minutes ago, he was cleaning dust from the palace floor. Now everyone in the room was staring at him. The crown suddenly lowered and gently touched his head. The moment it did, the entire hall shook. Bright golden symbols appeared in the air around Daniel. Ancient alien writing filled the room like floating stars. The guards stepped back in fear. One old alien scholar gasped loudly. "It is activating," he whispered. "The crown has accepted him." Chancellor Verrex turned sharply toward the scholar. "That cannot be true," he shouted. "The crown only chooses the strongest rulers." But the scholar slowly shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "The crown chooses the one who can protect the galaxy." Daniel suddenly felt a strange warmth inside his mind. Images flashed before his eyes. He saw stars, planets, and strange alien worlds. He saw wars that had happened thousands of years ago. He saw the first emperor who created peace between the stars. And then he saw something else. Something dark, a shadow moving through space, destroying entire planets. Daniel grabbed his head in pain. The visions were too strong. The crown glowed brighter. Everyone in the hall watched in silence. Suddenly Daniel spoke, but the voice that came from him sounded deeper and stronger. "The danger is coming," he said slowly. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. "What danger?" one of them asked. Daniel's eyes glowed faint gold. "The destroyers are waking," he said. The room became silent. Several old alien leaders looked terrified. Chancellor Verrex frowned. "That legend is thousands of years old," he said. "They are not real." But the old scholar spoke again. "They are real," he whispered. "And the crown was created to find the one who can stop them." Everyone slowly looked back at Daniel, the poor human cleaner who was now wearing the ancient crown. Daniel was breathing heavily. He still did not understand everything he saw. But one thing was clear in his mind. Something terrible was coming to the galaxy, and somehow the crown believed he could stop it. Chancellor Verrex stepped closer, his eyes full of suspicion. "This could be a trick," he said. "Humans are clever with deception." Daniel looked at him calmly. "I don't even know how I got here," he said honestly. "I was just cleaning the floor." Some aliens laughed nervously, but the crown suddenly flashed again. A powerful wave of energy spread across the hall. Every alien device stopped working. The lights flickered, and a large holographic map of the galaxy appeared above Daniel. Red warning signals began to blink across several star systems. The scholar looked at the map in horror. "It has already started," he said quietly. Ships were disappearing near the edge of the galaxy. Entire colonies had gone silent. Something was moving in the darkness between stars, something ancient, something powerful. Daniel slowly looked up at the map. His voice was calm but serious. "We don't have much time," he said. Chancellor Virax stared at him for several seconds. The human cleaner now looked strangely confident, almost like a real emperor. Finally Virax spoke again. "If the crown truly chose you," he said slowly, "then prove it." Daniel looked at him, confused. "How?" he asked. Virax pointed toward the giant doors of the hall. "Outside the palace," he said. "A creature from the Forbidden Zone has escaped. It has already killed 5 royal guards. If you are truly the chosen emperor, go and stop it." The room went silent again. Everyone waited for Daniel's answer. Just minutes ago he was a cleaner with a broom. Now he was being asked to face a deadly alien monster. Daniel swallowed nervously. Then he looked up at the glowing crown on his head. For a moment, the crown shined brighter, and Daniel felt the strange power inside his mind again. He took a deep breath. Then he nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. "I will try." But far away in deep space, something ancient had already awakened, and it was moving toward the galaxy, slowly, silently, and very hungry. The moment the crown touched Adam's head, the entire hall changed. The glowing symbols on the walls started moving faster, like living light. The ancient throne behind Adam slowly rose from the floor, shining with deep golden energy. Every alien in the chamber stepped back in shock and fear. No one spoke for several seconds. The powerful alien commanders who had been laughing only moments ago now looked nervous, because everyone in the Empire knew one truth. The throne never makes a mistake. Adam stood frozen, still holding the cleaning tool in his hand. He looked confused and a little scared. I think this crown is broken," Adam said quietly. Some aliens gasped. "Broken?" The sacred crown had ruled their empire for thousands of years. It had chosen every emperor in history, and it had never made a mistake until today. Or so they believed. A tall silver alien stepped forward. He was Commander Zareth, one of the most powerful leaders in the empire. His long eyes studied Adam carefully. "This cannot be correct," Zareth said coldly. "That creature is a human worker, a cleaner." Another alien nodded quickly. "He does not belong to any royal bloodline. He has no power. He has no status. He cannot be emperor." Murmurs spread across the chamber like a wave. But the crown suddenly flashed bright blue light. A deep voice filled the hall. Not a normal voice, an ancient voice. A voice that sounded like it came from the stars themselves. "The throne has chosen." The chamber fell silent again. Commander Zareth's face tightened. "The crown must be malfunctioning," he said. But the throne behind Adam suddenly activated. Energy flowed across the floor like lightning, and a beam of light scanned Adam from head to toe. Everyone watched carefully. A moment later, the throne projected ancient symbols in the air. The symbols translated automatically into the common language of the Empire. The message shocked everyone. "Genetic match confirmed. Lineage verified. Rightful heir identified." Adam blinked in confusion. "Wait, what does that mean?" he asked. But no one answered him, because the aliens in the chamber looked even more shocked than before. One scientist alien stepped forward quickly, staring at the glowing symbols. "This is impossible," she whispered. Commander Zareth grabbed her arm. "Explain," he ordered. The scientist swallowed nervously. "The throne is scanning his DNA," she said, "and it is matching him with—" She paused, afraid to finish the sentence. "With who?" Zareth demanded. The scientist looked at Adam again. "With the first emperor," she said slowly. The chamber exploded with noise. "That cannot be true. Impossible. Humans only joined the empire recently. How could a human be connected to the first emperor?" Adam raised his hands nervously. "Okay, I think you all have the wrong guy," he said. "I just clean floors." But the crown glowed again. Brighter than before, the ancient voice returned. "The bloodline has returned. The true emperor has awakened. Suddenly, a large hologram appeared in the air above the throne. It showed an image from thousands of years ago. A powerful warrior standing on the same throne, wearing the same crown, the first emperor. But what shocked everyone was his face. He looked human, not alien, human. The entire chamber froze in disbelief. Commander Zareth stared at the image with anger and fear. That history was erased, he whispered. Adam slowly looked up at the hologram. Then he looked at the aliens around him. Wait, Adam said slowly. You're telling me the first emperor was human? No one answered him, because at that exact moment, the chamber doors suddenly exploded open. Armed alien guards rushed inside. But they were not there to protect Adam. They surrounded the throne with weapons raised. Commander Zareth stepped forward, his voice cold and dangerous. This mistake ends now, he said. The throne may believe you are emperor. But I do not. Adam looked around nervously. You. Is this the part where I should run? He asked quietly. But the throne suddenly activated again. The floor beneath Adam began to rise, lifting him high above the chamber, and the crown on his head started glowing brighter than ever before. Then the ancient voice spoke one more time. Protect the emperor. Suddenly, hidden weapons appeared from the walls of the chamber. Ancient defense machines that had slept for thousands of years finally woke up. And every single one of them pointed directly at Commander Zareth and his soldiers. The balance of power in the Empire had just changed forever. And Adam, the poor human cleaner, had just become the most important man in the galaxy. But deep in the shadows of the Empire, someone else was watching. Someone who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time, and they whispered quietly, "The game has finally begun." The ancient defense machines woke up with a loud metallic sound. Hidden panels in the walls opened, and powerful weapons slowly moved out. Red lights scanned the entire chamber. Every weapon pointed directly at Commander Zareth and his soldiers. The alien guards froze immediately. No one in the Empire had seen these machines active before. Because they were created by the first emperor thousands of years ago. And they only obeyed one command: protect the true emperor. Commander Zareth slowly raised his hand, signaling his soldiers not to shoot. Even he understood that attacking now would be suicide. Adam was still standing on the rising platform, looking down at everyone with wide eyes. "This is a lot of attention," Adam said nervously. "I was just cleaning the floor 5 minutes ago." No one laughed this time. Because the situation was no longer funny, the ancient voice spoke again, echoing across the chamber. "The Emperor must be protected. Any threat will be eliminated." Commander Zareth forced a calm smile. "There is no threat here," he said slowly. "We only want to confirm the truth." Adam scratched the back of his head. "Well, I would also like to confirm the truth," he said. "Because I'm pretty sure I'm not an emperor." The scientist alien stepped forward again, still studying the floating symbols. "The throne never lies," she said quietly. "It is connected to the oldest technology in the galaxy. It reads bloodlines perfectly." Commander Zareth's eyes narrowed. "That may be true," he said. "But humans only joined the Empire a few hundred years ago. Explain how a human cleaner could have the bloodline of the first emperor." The scientist hesitated. "There's only one possible explanation," she said slowly. "The first emperor did not disappear. He had descendants, and those descendants lived somewhere. Hidden." All eyes slowly turned toward Adam. Adam looked uncomfortable. "My family runs a small repair shop on Earth," he said. "We fix old machines. That's not exactly royal life." But suddenly the crown glowed again. New images appeared in the air. Old recordings, thousands of years old. The image showed the first emperor standing beside a group of humans. He was speaking to them seriously. "My enemies grow stronger," the emperor said in the recording. "If the empire falls, the bloodline must survive. I will hide my children among humans. They will live simple lives. One day the throne will call them back." The recording ended. The chamber became completely silent. Adam stared at the image in shock. "So, you're saying my great-great-great-grandfather was an emperor," he said. The scientist nodded slowly. "Yes." And the throne has found you. Commander Zarath's calm mask finally cracked. This was dangerous. If the people of the Empire believed this story, his power would disappear overnight. Because many commanders secretly ruled the Empire while the throne stayed silent. And now the throne had spoken again. Zarath slowly stepped forward. Even if this story is true, he said carefully. A cleaner cannot rule the galaxy. Adam shrugged slightly. I actually agree with that, he said. But the machines don't seem to agree. At that moment the chamber doors opened again. But this time something very different entered. A massive alien warrior wearing dark armor. His body was tall and powerful. His eyes glowed deep red. Many aliens in the room immediately stepped back in fear. Because they recognized him, General Karos, the most feared warrior in the Empire. He slowly walked toward the throne, his heavy steps echoing across the floor. Everyone waited to see what he would do. Commander Zarath looked relieved. Karos was loyal to him, or at least he believed so. The giant warrior stopped in front of the platform where Adam stood. Adam looked down nervously. Hello, Adam said carefully. You look very strong. The chamber stayed silent. Then suddenly General Karos dropped to one knee. The sound echoed across the hall like thunder. He lowered his head deeply. I greet the Emperor, Karos said loudly. Shock spread across the entire chamber. Commander Zarath's face turned pale. Because if Karos accepted the new Emperor, most of the army would follow him. Adam looked completely confused. You don't have to kneel, Adam said quickly. I don't even know what I'm doing. Karos lifted his head slightly. That does not matter, he said. The throne has chosen, and I serve the throne. More soldiers slowly began lowering their weapons. The balance of power in the chamber was shifting fast. But Commander Zarath was not finished yet. He slowly smiled again. Because he had one final plan, a secret weapon hidden far away. A weapon designed for one purpose only, destroy the throne itself, and far above the planet. In deep space, a massive warship quietly powered up its main cannon. A weapon capable of destroying the entire palace in one shot. Inside the ship, a mysterious figure whispered, "Fire when ready," and the weapon slowly began to charge, while far below, the new emperor still had no idea that death was already coming for him. Far above the imperial planet, the massive warship floated silently in the darkness of space. Its main cannon slowly gathered energy, glowing brighter every second. Inside the command bridge, the mysterious figure watched the palace through a large screen. Target locked, one officer said calmly. Energy charge at 60%. The figure nodded slowly. Good, the figure whispered. Today the throne will finally disappear. Back inside the ancient throne chamber, the atmosphere was tense and heavy. Many soldiers were still kneeling before Adam. Others stood frozen, unsure what to do next. Commander Zarath watched everything carefully. His mind was racing. If the palace was destroyed, the throne would be gone forever. And without the throne, no one could prove who the real emperor was. Power would return to the commanders, exactly the way he wanted it. Adam stood on the platform, still wearing the glowing crown. He looked at General Karos, who was still kneeling before him. You really don't have to do that, Adam said awkwardly. Karos shook his head slightly. It is my duty, he replied. Adam sighed quietly. I don't even know how to rule a restaurant, let alone a galaxy. Some nearby soldiers smiled slightly at his words, but suddenly the crown flashed with bright golden light again. New symbols appeared in the air, spinning faster and faster. The ancient voice returned. Louder this time. Warning. External threat detected. Planetary strike imminent. The entire chamber froze again. Commander Zarath pretended to look shocked. What does that mean? He asked loudly. The scientist quickly studied the floating symbols. Her eyes widened with fear. A massive weapon is targeting the palace from orbit, she said quickly. If it fires, the entire structure will be destroyed. Panic spread across the chamber. Many aliens began speaking loudly to each other. But the ancient defense machine suddenly moved again. New shields began activating around the throne platform. But the scientist shook her head. It may not be enough, she said. That weapon is extremely powerful. Adam looked up toward the ceiling, even though he could not see space from there. So someone is trying to kill me already, he said quietly. Well, that was fast. General Karros stood up immediately. Give the order, he said firmly. I will send the fleet to destroy the attacker. Adam blinked in surprise. You're asking me, he said. Karros replied. You are the Emperor. Everyone in the chamber waited. Even Commander Zareth watched carefully, because if Adam made the wrong decision, chaos would begin. Adam took a deep breath. He had never been in charge of anything like this before, but something strange was happening inside his mind. The crown was glowing softly, and strange knowledge seemed to flow into him. Old memories, ancient strategies, knowledge from the first emperor. Adam suddenly straightened his posture slightly. His eyes became more focused. General Karros, he said calmly. Yes, my emperor, Karros replied immediately. Send all nearby defense fleets to intercept the warship, Adam ordered. Disable it if possible, but do not destroy it yet. Karros looked surprised. You want the attackers alive, he asked. Adam nodded slowly. If someone is brave enough to attack the throne, he said. I want to know why. Karros smiled slightly for the first time. A wise decision, he said. He quickly activated his communicator. Imperial fleets. This is General Karros, new Emperor confirmed. Enemy warship detected in orbit. All units intercept immediately. Within seconds, dozens of Imperial warships began launching from nearby stations. Far above the planet, alarms started ringing inside the attacking warship. Multiple Imperial fleets approaching, an officer reported nervously. The mysterious figure on the bridge frowned slightly. So the throne has already chosen its puppet, the figure said coldly. No matter. Prepare to fire. Back in the palace, the scientist continued watching the crown's symbols. Then suddenly her eyes widened again. There is something else, she said quietly. Everyone looked at her. The crown is unlocking deeper systems, she continued. Systems that have been inactive for thousands of years. What kind of systems? Adam asked. The scientist swallowed nervously. The original weapons of the first emperor. A low rumbling sound suddenly echoed through the entire palace, deep beneath the structure. Ancient machines older than the empire itself slowly began to wake up. Massive power reactors activated. Hidden cannons emerged from beneath the planet's surface. Weapons designed to defend the throne at any cost. Commander Zareth felt cold fear in his chest. He had never expected the throne to wake up this much power. Meanwhile, far above the planet, the enemy warship's cannon reached full charge. Fire, the mysterious figure ordered calmly. A massive beam of pure energy exploded toward the planet, racing directly toward the Imperial Palace. But at the exact same moment, the ancient planetary cannons fired back. Blinding light filled space as two unimaginable forces collided. The entire sky above the planet lit up like a second sun. And inside the throne chamber, the crown suddenly flashed again. The ancient voice spoke once more, but this time its message shocked everyone. Second Emperor bloodline detected. Location. Enemy warship. Adam's eyes widened in shock, because that could only mean one thing. The person trying to destroy the throne was also part of the Imperial bloodline. The words of the ancient voice echoed through the throne chamber. Second Emperor bloodline detected. Location, enemy warship. For a moment, complete silence filled the royal hall. Every soldier, scientist, and commander looked at Adam in shock. General Karros slowly turned toward the ceiling as if he could see the warship in space. A second bloodline, he said quietly. That means another true heir of the Empire still lives. Adam felt the crown grow warmer on his head. His heart was beating faster. You're saying the person attacking us might also be a rightful ruler? Adam asked. The scientist nodded nervously. Yes, she said. The crown never lies. Commander Zareth felt panic rising inside him. This was far worse than he expected. If another heir appeared, his secret plans could collapse completely. But he quickly hid his fear and spoke loudly. Then the answer is simple, Zareth said. We destroy the warship before the second heir reaches the palace. Some commanders nodded, but General Kuros shook his head firmly. "No," he said. "The Emperor has already ordered that the attacker be captured alive." All eyes turned toward Adam again. Adam was quiet for a moment, thinking carefully. He had been a cleaner only hours ago. Now he was deciding the fate of the entire galaxy. But the crown was still sending strange knowledge into his mind. It felt like the wisdom of thousands of years was whispering to him. Finally, Adam spoke. "We will not destroy the warship," he said calmly. "We will bring the other heir here, alive, high above the planet." The battle in space had already begun. Imperial warships surrounded the enemy vessel from every direction. Bright laser fire crossed the darkness like red lightning. Inside the attacking warship, alarms screamed loudly. "Enemy fleets approaching fast," an officer shouted. "Defense shields weakening." The mysterious figure on the bridge stood silently, watching the battle through the large window. "So the Empire still has loyal defenders," the figure said softly. The officer turned nervously. "What are your orders?" The figure slowly removed the dark hood covering their face. Under the hood was a young alien woman with silver eyes. Her expression was cold and determined. "My orders are simple," she said quietly. "We finish what my family started." Back in the throne chamber, the scientist suddenly gasped. "I am receiving a transmission from the enemy warship," she said. Everyone looked surprised. "Put it on the main screen," Adam ordered. The large holographic screen in the hall flickered to life. After a moment, the image of the silver-eyed woman appeared. Gasps spread across the chamber. General Kuros looked shocked. "It cannot be," he whispered. The woman spoke calmly through the transmission. "My name is Lyra," she said, "daughter of the lost royal house. I have come to reclaim the throne that was stolen from my bloodline." Adam stared at the screen, confused. "Stolen," he repeated. Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "Long ago the Empire had two royal families, but one betrayed the other and took the throne." Her silver eyes narrowed slightly. "For thousands of years my family waited in exile, waiting for the moment to take back what belongs to us." Commander Zareth suddenly stepped forward angrily. "This is nonsense," he shouted. "The Empire recognizes only one bloodline," Lyra smiled coldly. "That is exactly what the traitors wanted everyone to believe," she replied. Then her eyes moved toward Adam. "So you must be the new emperor." Adam scratched the back of his head awkwardly. "Well, technically yes," he said. "But honestly, I was cleaning the palace floor this morning." Several soldiers nearby tried not to laugh. Lyra looked confused for a moment. "You are joking," she said. "No," Adam replied honestly. "I'm really not, for the first time." Lyra looked uncertain. Then the crown on Adam's head suddenly glowed brighter than ever before. The ancient voice returned again. "Primary heir confirmed. Secondary heir confirmed. Empire Stability Protocol activated." Everyone in the chamber froze. "What protocol?" Adam asked. But the voice continued. "When two true heirs exist, the throne must test both." The floor of the throne platform suddenly began to move. Ancient symbols lit up across the chamber walls. A hidden doorway slowly opened behind the throne. Darkness filled the passage beyond it. The ancient voice spoke one final time. "The trial of emperors has begun. Only one may rule." Adam stared at the dark doorway. Then he looked back at the screen where Lyra was watching silently. "Well," Adam said slowly, "I guess we both have an interview for the job." Lyra's silver eyes burned with determination. "This is not an interview," she replied. "This is a battle for the future of the Empire." Adam sighed softly. "Yeah," he said. "I was afraid you would say that." Behind him, the ancient passage waited. A test created thousands of years ago. A test that had decided the fate of emperors before, and now it would decide the fate of two heirs, the former human cleaner, and the last princess of the lost royal bloodline. Only one would leave the trial as the true ruler of the galaxy, and the other would disappear into history forever.